The Henderson Global conference room hadn't changed since I was a child. Same mahogany table, same leather chairs, same disapproving stares from my father and brothers. Only now I sat at the table instead of playing under it. Sarah, my father sighed, adjusting his gold cufflinks, we've discussed this. The family business requires experienced leadership. 20 years of experience to be precise, my oldest brother James added with a smirk. Like what I have. I checked my phone discreetly, reviewing real-time updates from my team. The pieces were falling into place exactly as planned. That's why we called this meeting, my father continued. It's time you found a more suitable position, perhaps in HR. My younger brother Michael snorted. If she can handle that. I maintained a neutral expression, even as another alert lit up my screen. The final documents were ready for signature. You never asked what I've been doing these past 5 years. Playing at business, James waved dismissively. Starting some tech company or other. Nova Industries, I supplied. Though we operate under several different names. A startup, my father scoffed. While Henderson Global manages billions in assets. My phone buzzed again. The board votes were coming in exactly as expected. Years of quiet stock acquisition and strategic alliances were about to pay off. Speaking of assets, I said carefully, have you reviewed the quarterly reports? Of course, my father bristled. Henderson Global is performing excellently. Really? I pulled out my tablet. Because I'm seeing significant exposure in your Asian markets. Your tech division is 3 years behind current innovations. And your main profit centers are hemorrhaging market share. That's absurd, James snapped. I oversee those divisions myself. Yes, I smiled slightly. I know. My father's face reddened. Now see here, young lady. You can't waltz in here with wild accusations. Not accusations, I interrupted softly. Facts. The same facts I presented to your board 3 months ago. The room went silent. The board? Michael asked. Why would the board meet with you? Another message lit up my phone. Final share purchase complete. Majority control secured. Because, I said, standing slowly, they were very interested in my proposal for saving the company. Saving? My father sputtered. We don't need. Henderson Global stock has dropped 40% in 5 years. I cut in. Your technology is outdated, your management is complacent, and your market position is crumbling. The board knows it. Your shareholders know it. And now you know it. James slammed his hand on the table. This is ridiculous. You're barely out of business school. I've been out of business school for 5 years, I corrected him. Building something you never bothered to notice. My phone lit up one final time. Acquisition complete. Awaiting your announcement. What acquisition? Michael asked, seeing my smile. What's going on? I walked to the head of the table where my father had always sat. Nova Industries has been quietly acquiring Henderson Global stock for the past 2 years. As of 3 minutes ago, we completed a hostile takeover. The blood drained from my father's face. That's impossible. Check your phones, I suggested. They scrambled for their devices, watching as the news alerts rolled in. Tech giant Nova Industries acquires Henderson Global in surprise takeover. This can't be legal, James whispered. I assure you it's completely legal. Your own negligence made it possible. I sat in my father's chair. You were so busy dismissing me, you never noticed who was buying your undervalued shares. But your little startup. Michael stammered. Nova Industries is a $12 billion technology conglomerate, I said calmly. We're the mysterious buyer that's been modernizing companies across 3 continents. The startup you mocked? It just bought your entire legacy. My father gripped the table edge. Why? Because you taught me well, Dad. Just not the lesson you intended. I pressed a button and the room's screens lit up with Nova's corporate profile. You taught me that no one takes women in business seriously. So I built something too big to ignore. The door opened and my executive team entered. All women, all brilliant, all previously overlooked by companies like Henderson Global. Sarah, my father said weakly, we can discuss this. Yes, I agreed, we can discuss the terms of your retirement package. Unless you'd prefer to stay on under new leadership. James stood abruptly. This is our company. I corrected him. Now it's mine. And your new boss has some concerns about your performance. My phone buzzed again. Global markets were reacting positively to the acquisition. Our stock was soaring. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes, I announced. You're welcome to stay and learn how modern business works. Or you can clear out your offices. Your choice. As my brothers stormed out and my father sat in stunned silence, I finally allowed myself a small smile. They'd never taken me seriously, never looked closely at what I was building. Now they had no choice but to look. And to answer to the daughter they'd dismissed for so long. The next hour unfolded like a perfectly orchestrated symphony. As my executive team presented our restructuring plans to the board, I watched my father and brothers sink deeper into their chairs, their world crumbling with each PowerPoint slide. Our analysis shows Henderson Global has been operating at 40% efficiency, my COO Rebecca explained. Through modernization and strategic realignment, we project a 200% increase in productivity within 18 months. Impossible, James muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. The same impossible results we achieved with Turner Industries and Global Tech? I raised an eyebrow. Check their stock prices since Nova's acquisition. The room screens filled with graphs showing the dramatic turnarounds of our previous acquisitions. Companies we'd purchased and transformed, while Henderson Global had dismissed us as a little startup. As you can see, Rebecca continued, Nova Industries specializes in modernizing outdated companies. Henderson Global is. She paused diplomatically, ripe for innovation. You mean obsolete, Michael snapped. Just say it. Your words, not ours, I smiled slightly. Though your tech division's reliance on software from 2015 does suggest a certain resistance to change. My father's hands clenched on the armrests. This is revenge, isn't it? For not making you CO. Actually, I pressed a button bringing up Nova's global operations map. This is business. Henderson Global was undervalued, underperforming, and perfect for acquisition. The fact that you happen to be my family is coincidental. The board members, many of whom had secretly supported my takeover, nodded approvingly. They'd watched the company stagnate under my family's leadership. Next item, my CFO announced, executive restructuring. James sat up straighter. Now wait just a minute. Current executive salaries at Henderson are 80% above industry standard, she continued, while delivering bottom quartile results. We'll be implementing immediate changes. My phone buzzed with another update. Our stock had jumped another 15% since the acquisition announcement. The market clearly approved of Nova's latest purchase. Changes? My father demanded. What changes? I stood, walking to the window that overlooked the city. Henderson Global's executive team will be dissolved, effective immediately. Generous severance packages have been prepared. You're firing us? Michael's voice cracked. Your own family? I'm restructuring a failing company, I corrected him. Though you're welcome to apply for positions in the new organization. Our HR team is very fair. I turned back to face them. They'll even overlook your lack of current technical skills. The board members tried to hide their smiles. They'd witnessed my brother's arrogance firsthand. This is insane, James stood abruptly. Dad, say something. But our father was staring at the screens, finally seeing what his daughter had built while he wasn't paying attention. The global reach, the cutting-edge technology, the billions in assets. All created by the child he'd underestimated. How? He whispered. How did you do all this without us knowing? The same way I bought your company, I replied. By letting you underestimate me. Every time you dismissed my ideas, I built something bigger. While you were laughing at my little startup, I was acquiring companies across 3 continents. My phone lit up again. Asian markets responding positively to acquisition. Stock up 22%. Ms. Nova, my assistant entered with a tablet. The Wall Street Journal is ready for your interview about the takeover. My brother's head snapped up. Nova. My professional name, I explained. Sarah Nova. Did you really think I'd build a tech empire using the name of the family that refused to take me seriously? The severance packages, my father said quietly, are they? Generous, I assured him. I learned something else from you, Dad. Always be professional even when it's personal. The screen switched to live news coverage. Tech prodigy Sarah Nova acquires family's company in billion-dollar deal. The press conference starts in 10 minutes, my assistant reminded me. I nodded, gathering my materials. The HR team will contact you about your packages and office clearance. Unless, I paused at the door, any of you would like to interview for positions in the new organization? The silence was deafening. That's what I thought, I smiled slightly. Thank you for attending this meeting. My team will handle everything from here. As I walked out, I heard Michael ask quietly, "Did you know that she was capable of this?" "No," my father replied, his voice heavy with realization. "We never bothered to find out." In the elevator down to the press conference, I reviewed the morning's events. The family that had dismissed me for years had just become my latest acquisition. The company they'd refused to let me lead was now mine anyway. My phone buzzed one final time. All executive offices cleared for renovation. New tech team ready to move in. Perfect. Time to show the world and my family exactly what the daughter they'd underestimated could do. As the elevator doors opened to a sea of reporters, I straightened my jacket and smiled. The headlines tomorrow would be interesting. Tech mogul Sarah Nova acquires family business in historic takeover. But the real story wasn't in the headlines. It was in the silence of that boardroom, where three men finally realized that their biggest mistake wasn't losing their company. It was underestimating their daughter. 1 month after the acquisition, I sat in my new office, formerly my father's, reviewing the transformation reports. Henderson Global's stock had risen 45% since the takeover announcement. Our modernization was ahead of schedule, and market analysts were calling it the turnaround of the year. "Ms. Nova," my assistant's voice came through the intercom, "your mother is here to see you." I glanced at the security feed. My mother stood in the lobby, looking smaller than I remembered in her designer suit. The past month had aged her. "Send her up," I said, turning back to the quarterly projections. When she entered, her eyes widened at the changes. Gone were the dark wood panels and heavy furniture of my father's era. The space was now sleek, modern, filled with cutting-edge technology and wall-to-wall screens showing real-time data from our global operations. "Sarah," she said softly, "or should I call you Ms. Nova now?" "Mom," I acknowledged, signing off on a major tech upgrade. "Please sit." She perched uncertainly on one of the modern chairs. "Your father wanted to come, but his pride won't let him face his daughter-turned-boss?" I finished for her. "How is retirement treating him?" She hesitated. "Struggling. James and Michael too. They never expected." "Never expected what?" I looked up from my tablet. That the daughter they dismissed would succeed? Or that she'd outmaneuver them? "Both, I suppose." She twisted her wedding ring nervously. "The house is so quiet now. Your father spends hours in his study, watching Nova Industries' stock price. It's up another 3% today," I informed her, pulling up the chart on a nearby screen. "Our Asian expansion is exceeding projections." She stared at the numbers, at the billions in value created by the daughter they'd never taken seriously. "Why didn't you tell us about Nova Industries, about all of this? Would you have believed me?" I asked quietly. "When I tried to discuss modernizing Henderson Global 3 years ago, Dad said I was too inexperienced to understand real business." "We didn't know." "You didn't want to know," I corrected her. It was easier to see me as the naive daughter playing at business than to consider that I might actually know what I was doing. My phone buzzed with another update. Our latest technology patent had been approved. Market analysts were predicting another stock jump. "The severance packages," my mother said hesitantly, "they're very generous." "Of course they are. I learned corporate ethics from Dad, remember? Before he decided I wasn't qualified to lead." She flinched at that. "And now? What happens to the family now?" I stood, walking to the window that overlooked the city. "That depends on them. The company will continue its transformation. Whether they choose to watch from the sidelines or learn from it is their decision." "James is talking about starting his own firm," she offered. "With what experience?" I turned back to face her. "His division was the worst performing in Henderson Global. The market knows that now. Michael mentioned applying for a position here," she said quietly. He'd have to go through standard hiring procedures, I replied. No special treatment. Nova Industries succeeds because we hire the best, not the best connected. My assistant appeared at the door. Ms. Nova, the Singapore merger team is ready for your call. Thank you, Rachel. I turned back to my mother. Was there something specific you wanted to discuss? She stood, smoothing her skirt. I suppose. I wanted to understand how my daughter built all this while we weren't looking. I built it because you weren't looking, I said softly. Every dismissal became motivation. Every closed door became an opportunity to build my own entrance. The screens behind me filled with news headlines. Nova Industries continues record growth. Tech giant revolutionizes traditional markets. Sarah Nova, the future of corporate leadership. Your father, my mother started then stopped. Still thinks this is about him? I finished. About revenge or proving a point? She nodded slightly. This was never about him. I gestured to the empire around us. This is about building something revolutionary. The fact that it happened to consume his company is just business. My phone buzzed again. Another acquisition target identified. Another opportunity for growth. Tell Dad, I said as she turned to leave, that his old office has a perfect view of the future. He's welcome to visit sometime, see what his daughter actually built while he was underestimating her. After she left, I returned to my desk, reviewing the next phase of our expansion. The screens continued displaying our global reach, our soaring stock price, our transformative impact on industry after industry. My phone lit up with a final message: Henderson Global rebranding complete. Nova Industries signage being installed now. I smiled slightly, remembering all the family dinners where they'd dismissed my ideas, all the meetings where they'd ignored my insights. They'd created exactly what they feared most, a leader who didn't need their approval anymore. The Singapore team was waiting, and after that there were 3 more acquisitions to consider. The daughter they'd underestimated had built an empire, and it was still growing. Let them watch from their comfortable retirement as I transformed their legacy into something bigger than they'd ever imagined. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's succeeding so completely that their opinion doesn't matter anymore.